Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are back for another brand new episode. Wow. Incredible. And you know what? For the first time in 15, 20 episodes, we have a guest. A very special guest.
It's been a while.
Round of applause for Xavier.
Hello, who is this? Hashtag not my doctor. Hashtag not board certified.
Oh dear.
Oh no. Welcome back, Xavier.
Oh wow.
I've been preparing that bit for a bit.
Lord.
Get us in trouble.
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
How have you been since what's it, Silence in the Library, Forest of the Dead? That was a while ago.
I've been good. I recently watched, because we're talking about everything in the Whovian sphere, JXC's 5-hour-long analysis of why Chibnall's Doctor Who sucks.
Wow.
Oh,
and that was fun. I can share the link to you guys.
Wow, 5 hours.
Over 2 days. I was sick on the first day, so it was pretty easy.
Yeah, right.
I just sat down and listened to it. But yeah, it was. Could
5 hours be argued just too much passion of negativity? Perhaps I don't know.
Just too much
for someone
hatred.
to make a 5-hour video essay destroying something just sounds a bit much, you know.
When you're oh god, that's way too loud. When you're a fan of his work, I've seen their wrong pronoun. I've seen their work before, so. Mm-hmm. A lot of the notes that they had already said in previous video essays were reiterated again because this was the magnum opus, if you will. So for someone who's not a fan of this particular YouTuber, it could be quite boring, but it was a lot.
That's quite... Yeah, I have heard about this video. I did hear about someone talking about it on Twitter. I have not seen it, though. But I hear about these videos all the time, but I haven't really myself actually watched any for a while at least, despite not really being a fan of the era either. But I didn't know you disliked it that much, so I didn't know you.
I mean, look, while watching it, I hated the first season, Jodie's first season. There was just no substance there. Yeah. Having no series long arc made it very difficult. But her second season, I enjoyed, not Prisoner of the Jadoon, Fugitive of the Jadoon. I was like, this is amazing, this is great. And then he went and fucked it at the end.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
He's just he's a super fan that's trying to fix a really old error that occurred in that one classic episode where Tom Baker's got the 2 wires and you see all the faces that he's had. Of course, yeah. And there's some that we don't know. And they just put some production assistants up there to show... to show off their production, the crew that they have, and he's been like, no, there must be a canon reason for why those faces are there.
Yeah.
And in doing so, has ruined the entirety of the new continuity.
I don't know if he was doing it just for the sake of fixing that, though. I think he might have, whether he saw a potential... I don't know, I feel like maybe his idea for The Timeless Child came first, and then he was like, oh, maybe I can link it to that. It just seems like a pretty big plot point just to be like,
it's all really dumb.
That. Yeah.
And then there's a scene that's pointed out in this video essay where Sacha Dhawan, who is not white, has a perception filter on to become a high-ranking Nazi official, and Jodie's doctor just goes, let's show them who you really are, and then takes off the perception filter, and I'm like, that's just straight up evil. It's not a doctor thing to do at all. And she does it jokingly. Things, It's like, this guy's going to end up in a concentration camp. It's going to be terrible.
Yeah, there's definitely a few things, for sure.
Guess what Uncle Aiden got to be very happy about today?
Oh, here we go. I'm ready for this.
At long last, Season 8, John Pertwee's second season as the Doctor, the collection, finally got released on Blu-ray in Australia. Preach it, sister.
The boys.
Wow, it's like 3 months behind the UK.
Wow, that's quite...
Yeah, no one cares about us over here, sadly.
Sad react. But watch the first 2. I love John. I think John's my favourite classic Doctor. He's just so good.
Okay.
Cool.
There you go.
Where's the love for McCoy?
McCoy's fun, but he's just fun.
I'm only joking. That's everyone's go-to to shit.
the admittedly minimal amount of classic Who that I have watched, and I'm planning to, when I get round to it, watch more. I'm a huge fan of damn it, names escape me. Peter
Fake
Davidson.
fan. Yeah, I used to think Peter Davison was my favorite, but just like watching it, John just has this like kind of like a Sean Connery, James Bond kind of vibe to him, where he's like so elegant and he's so like polite towards women. Although it's really funny, the first episode in this introduces Jo Grant, you'd know from the Sarah Jane Adventures episode.
Yep.
Introduces her as a companion, and it's so funny. She comes in and she's like, "I'm your new assistant," and John's like, "Oh dear," or something like he like shoots her down like straight away, and it's really funny. But yeah. And it also introduces the Master for the first time in that episode as well with Roger Delgado. It's his first ever appearance of the Master.
Actually,
which is really cool.
If Paul McGann counts, I would count Paul McGann as my favorite classic Doctor. I don't think he does. He's kind of a pseudo-classic, pseudo-modern era Doctor now.
I reckon you could probably say that. Stuff. I'm sure you could. I mean, there's a lot of Big Finish as well. But I mean, I don't really watch the classics anyway, so I wouldn't. I've been ridiculed for that quite a bit. But we're gonna do some for the show. I'm not against it. I'm happy to watch some, but I just haven't really got around to it yet. Bit similar to what
we'll do some special episodes where we hit up a few of the
I've
main
watched the 2 Doctors, the 5 Doctors, and the other 2 Doctors because they're like necessary viewing, and then a few of Pete's and a few of Sylvester's.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
No, the 3 Doctors,
Aiden's great
the 2
to go
Doctors,
to.
and the 5 Doctors. That's it, right?
Yeah, Aiden will know what to watch,
order.
so you know, like he'll be a great guide for me to get into it. So yeah.
Just an aside, I think I've said this on the podcast before, but it is impossible to inverse the polarity of the neutron flow because poles in order for poles there needs to be a charge, and neutrons don't have a charge. That's their defining characteristic.
I would literally
you can't
never know
reverse
that,
the polarity of a neutron flow.
I would never know that.
Can you reverse what's the line where he's like, I'm reversing the polarity of the neutron flow or something?
Now you can
reverse the polarity of the neutron flow.
Yeah.
Is what he says. You cannot reverse the polarity of the flow of something that doesn't have any dipoles or electrical conductivity in any way. So there's no disparate charges.
This is causing me a lot of pain.
I swear, Zay comes on the show and puts us to shame with all these like actual facts.
Totally.
I studied science. It's kind of par for the course.
Just before we get into it, I just want to apologise to everyone if I do sound a little bit snotty. I've developed a massive cold. I think it's because I overworked myself. I was doing like night shoots till like 4 a.m. and then starting work at like 8 a.m. For like most of last week. So I think I just killed myself, really.
You donut.
It's my fault.
Get some sleep.
I've also a bit snotty, but for a different reason. I've been cleaning my garage. I don't know with
dust.
you guys. You both pronounce it differently. It's confusing.
Garage?
Yes.
Garage.
And that. And I'm allergic to everything, so it's just
dust mites
allergies.
mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll just leave it to you to run the show then, Connor. You can just talk to yourself for an hour or so.
It's not how it goes, to be honest, recapping these episodes. It's so hard as well when there's like 3 people because like there's always a bit of lag and it's hard when like you're trying to when you're trying to like recap the episode and then like it like always is like a second behind, but it is what it is.
Well, maybe I tried this last week. A cool thing, raise the hand.
Yeah, raise the hand or like the finger or
and
something.
then Connor could slow down on what he's saying and give us a chance to jump in. Might be a good way to go, Zave.
That's a good idea.
I do want to ask though, because one of the fans of the show, Dylan, he was saying this week on Twitter how he couldn't believe this writer went on Doctor Who, and I don't know who he is, but I know you're a huge fan of him. So can you explain to me who he is?
So I'm a huge Richard Curtis fan, and which is kind of look. If we're talking stereotypes of what masculinity is, I am completely outside of that. Love romance movies, just adore them.
Okay.
So Richard Curtis is a romance writer.
Hold the phone. But before we get into Richard Curtis, I know it's in the episode title of the Spotify of the episode, but we're talking about Vincent and the Doctor today, everyone. I just feel like that needs to be said on the show.
Are we? Oh, shit.
What are we talking about again? I'm so
what
sorry.
What episode is that?
So yeah, we're talking about Vincent and the Doctor, which is directed by Johnny Campbell, which I think directed an episode earlier in the season, and yes, is written by Richard Curtis. Zave, do go on to talk about Richard Curtis if you would like to.
Yeah, I'm just pulling up his Wikipedia page.
I think the guy directed this also directed Vampires in Venice, Aiden.
Yes, he did. They were shot in the same production block.
They were both shot in Croatia.
Yeah,
right?
It looked like it was, because I watched this with Dan on Saturday, and we were like, this dead set looks like Vampires in Venice. So yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So, the classic films, Love Actually, 4 Weddings and a Funeral, Bridget Jones, a lot of the Mr. Bean stuff, that was all Richard Curtis.
No way.
He's a,
What?
That's
awesome.
He's a writer, and he's good friends with Mr. Bean guy, what's his name?
Rowan Atkinson.
Rowan Atkinson. They did stage together as Rowan Atkinson was coming up. In Rowan Atkinson's one-man shows, they wrote together, and he was the straight man to Rowan Atkinson's palaver in the show.
I see.
And he also wrote my favorite movie. Well, if we don't count Tenet now, but my favorite movie for all intents and purposes, the About Time, which is this lovely romantic romp of what's his name? Domhnall Gleeson plays this guy who turns 21 and discovers that his family has the ability to time travel, and he sets out to find love, and it's this just adorable love story that turns into a family drama halfway through. The way that he achieves that with the script is incredible, because the beginning of the story is like, I need to find love, and then by almost before the middle of the movie, he's done that, and it's just a family drama, and it's really good. It's really, really good.
Isn't the time travel machine in like a cupboard or something?
No. So he goes into a cupboard because he needs to be in darkness. That's the mechanism.
Okay,
so
I've only seen the trailer, so I haven't seen the
think
film.
Of the time. I highly recommend it.
Yeah,
It's
I've
an
always
amazing
wanted to watch
movie.
it.
I have the script, as I was showing off before, because
That's
I'm
awesome.
a huge fan of it.
That's awesome.
The
I've printed it off.
only Richard Curtis thing that other than this episode, of course, that I've watched, I think, is Love Actually, which is a very good film.
Great
It's
film.
a great Christmas movie.
You haven't seen Notting Hill?
No. I have
I've seen the Bridget Jones
seen
movies, and
that.
I've seen Love Actually. But that's it.
I see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I've also seen Mr. Bean, but I assume
yeah, of course, yeah.
Richard Curtis was maybe involved in the movies, which I've seen bits of, but never have really been that fan of.
Yeah.
Yes, I've seen those as well.
He also wrote War Horse.
Okay. I haven't seen it, but yeah.
Blackadder, of course, because
Interesting.
did a lot of comic relief stuff. Blackadder, a lot of Blackadder.
Just a lot of Richard Curtis. But yeah.
Not the 9 o'clock news, which is where what's his name got famous. Oh, his most recent film is Yesterday. That movie where the guy hits his head and. Yeah,
I love that film so much.
Danny Boyle.
I love it. It's like my biggest guilty pleasure film. Like, I genuinely love that film.
He's a really good romance writer.
He is. That's great. And Lily James. What a gem.
So he said he was going to quit doing the work, which is why he got some big names in About Time. It was supposed to be his last movie. That's why Margot Robbie's in it before she was famous. Margot Robbie's in About Time. But and so is Rachel McAdams. And it's just a lovely, lovely movie. Anyway, he ended up making Yesterday afterwards, and
Right.
I love his work. He's good.
Good stuff.
50% podcast.
Cool. Well, like I said, today we're watching. We've already watched it, except Zave, because Zave's he doesn't need to watch it. He has like a memory that just will tell enough. He just remembers it all, anyways. Isn't that right?
It's like photographic memory, but for plot.
Yeah.
So, we're talking about Vincent and the Doctor, which is the 10th episode of the 5th series of the British science fiction television series Doctor Who, first broadcast on BBC One on the 5th of June 2010. Intrigued by an ominous figure in Vincent van Gogh's painting, The Church at Avers, whatever that one's called, alien time traveler the Doctor, Matt Smith, and his companion Amy Pond, Karen Gillan, go back in time to meet Van Gogh, Tony Curran, and discover the a verse, that's a word, has been, the church, basically, that they saw the painting of, has been plagued by an invisible creature known as the Crephaeus, which only Van Gogh can see. The Doctor and Amy work with Van Gogh to defeat the Crephaeus, but in their attempt to have Van Gogh realize his legacy through bringing him to the future, they ultimately realize that not all of time can be rewritten, and there are some evils which are out of the Doctor's reach. Oh shit, that's deep. That's very deep.
Can we just quickly take an aside to talk about how amazing Tony Curran is as Vincent?
Damn, that cast is crazy. Yeah.
He's so good. He's such a good actor, and I've seen him in a few other things recently, and he's just amazing. I watched he's in Daredevil, he's in Defiance, and I watched recently his appearance in SEAL Team, where, spoilers for SEAL Team Season 2, if anyone is a co-watcher of that, but he also plays an individual with mental health issues due to a TBI, a traumatic brain injury.
Right.
And he's just amazing at it. He's really, really good at that kind of showing the depth of a character. And also, like Vincent, ends with a suicide. Very sad story. So
that's the big sad.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really did tackle some big stuff.
Yeah, he was in Primeval. He plays a knight in season 3 of Primeval.
Yeah, I was just seeing his filmography then. I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing him and being like, is that Van Gogh?
Yeah, it does. I respect how it did handle mental health this episode. It really didn't just shy away from it, which I thought was great. But yeah obviously it's a really crazy.
They also don't shy away from the fact that it's not like the Doctor can't go in and fix it, because that's something they easily could have done, because the Doctor's
you're not wrong,
saint savior.
Yeah.
But no, it's just mental health is more complex than a madman in a box.
Yeah.
That's a really good way of looking at it. I got that exact vibe as well. I really like Bill Knightley in it as well. He was a small role, but he's great in it. I think he was really well placed.
Bill Nye's great. He's also a good friend of Richard Curtis, which is probably why he ended up in that episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
he's in About Time. He plays the dad.
He's also in, because I noticed Rowan Atkinson, and he's also in Love Actually, so you can see that they're friends, because, okay, makes sense.
If anyone wants to, I would highly recommend watching the entire filmography of Richard Curtis, just from start to finish. It's all amazing.
Just such a Richard Curtis simp save.
I reckon that's worth a go, actually. It sounds really good.
It is. I highly recommend it. And we can talk about the logistics of different forms of time travel, because About Time uses incorporeal time travel, mental time travel, which is very different to the Doctor Who style corporeal physical time travel. And I have a whole meandering story I can go on about the differences and the complications of each. But anywho, let's not go
there. Let's not go there. Connor, do you want to take us through the episode?
Sure. All right. So we start in Paris, baby, and Amy and the Doctor at the Vincent van Gogh Museum, and they're going around, and then they notice something a little bit shady in one of Van Gogh's most famous paintings of the church. I won't try and name it like Aiden, because I feel like that might get me in trouble.
I'm utilizing the hand technique already.
Okay, and you guys can take it from here.
You missed the actual start of the episode. The little wheat in the wind, but the reason, usually, it's a kind of nothing scene, nothing crazy happens in this scene.
Yeah.
But the reason why
it's called a cold open,
I want to bring it up is because immediately I was kind of like, shit, this is well directed, because it goes from a shot of the wheat, and then the way they cut that with the painting shot in the museum, and it cuts the two scenes together really well. It was just a really neat moment of direction. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? It's
I do,
yeah.
I apologise for skipping over that. I didn't think that it was...
Can't believe you, Connor. You can't even do your job.
I try and skip over things these days that I just don't think people will even remember, but that's great.
I know. The only reason I mentioned it is because of that moment of direction. Zave's got his hand up politely. Take it away.
Yeah, so one of the things I'd like to mention is the fact that they're in this Van Gogh museum, and a few years after this episode, a lost Van Gogh was found that has what looks to be a TARDIS in it, which is hilarious.
That's awesome.
Have you seen that?
No,
I think I did.
Yeah, look it up.
time.
It's
awesome.
It's just fun. It's actually a church because it's always a church, but the Whovians in the audience went, "Ah!"
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Especially
That's
since
mad.
later on in this season, spoilers for the later end of this season, if you're watching along with us, the Van Gogh photo of image of the TARDIS that appears.
Yeah, of course. That's classic. I have that on a bin.
That is
My
classic.
bedroom bin.
Yeah. Anyway, so then they see the little creature in the window, and they're like, "Let's go and find out. We're gonna go talk to Vincent Van Gogh." They arrive, and they get to see the classic little cafe, which Van Gogh obviously painted. And I like how Amy brings up the picture from the pamphlet she got from Paris and takes it away. Beautiful shot again, Aiden. I know you love this shit.
The
goes
fact
away,
that they found
and
a
it looks
set
weird.
that is amazing like that
Yeah.
is incredible. Like,
It was really
in
good.
Croatia,
I think they built it.
but like in
Ah.
Croatia.
Yeah,
Still.
yeah. Finding like the right alley to build that set in and stuff like that.
Still, it
is
looked
just
really good.
Crazy.
Yeah, I liked it. I like how they go in saying, like, Van Gogh, and everyone's like laughing, saying, like, yeah, unfortunately. They do kind of, I like how they kind of dive in a little bit to the way he used to drink a lot, because like he's trying to sell one of his paintings for another drink because he's got no money. And of course, everyone thinks that his art, just like in real life, is awful, despite him being one of the greatest artists of all time to a lot of people. I like how he instantly flirts with Amy. That's really funny, and they've both got red hair, which I thought was great.
And
then
then the comments about the red hair, that's so funny. He's like,
yeah, I
my
like how
hair
they-
is red, but your hair is red like such and such.
yeah. And
Ultimate
then,
ginger.
I do like that. And they later
our
on they're like how
children will
kids
be.
would have our children. Yeah, it was really cute. And Amy's like, I'll buy you a drink.
I'm just all about that ginger representation in film and TV.
It has to be there,
all about
you know?
that.
Well, as we all know, only a ginger can call another ginger ginger.
That's true.
Right.
That's true.
Mhm.
That's true.
Thanks, Dave. Recognition.
I knew it.
Man.
So they're saying to Van Gogh, like, there's this church. You thinking of painting? He's like, yeah, actually, I was thinking of doing that recently. I like that. It's nice to see how like this stuff was inspired, and it's cool to think that like the reason he painted it was because he was kind of like intrigued to do it because the Doctor and Amy brought it up. We hear a little bit of a scream outside, and didn't you call it a chicken, Xavier, once a long time ago? You called it like a chicken. The little creature, what's it called? The Kefari or something?
It is a chicken, though. Like, there's that
Kefari.
scene where the Doctor finds that machine that tries to identify things.
Yeah.
And he pulls it out, and it goes through different birds. It's a chicken.
It's a bit of a chicken, yeah. It's not called the Kefari.
Or a
Kefari's
turkey.
a Pokemon.
It's somewhere in between.
I think it's the Creface. The
Creface, yeah, I keep calling it Kefari.
No, the turkeys are the ones that are in the Sarah Jane Adventures with Matt
Oh, yeah, those
Smith.
big turkeys, yeah. Yeah, those are great.
Those
Little
giant
birds,
turkeys
little
that
emus,
pretend
yeah.
that he's dead.
That's funny.
Anyway, the Van Gogh's like, yeah, it's okay. Look, you can stay at my house for the night. They go, and it's awesome. You get to see the house, which again is really well done for like the set designers. They did an amazing job. Oh my goodness, Aiden! I thought I could only see one of your cameras when we were on Zoom, and I thought you had your hand up for ages, and I couldn't see it because it was just stuck on Xavier. And I thought you were like coughing hell loudly to be like, my hand's been up for the last minute, Connor.
No, I just sneezed my brains out.
Normally how it goes.
You could go to the multi-view that's available so that you can see.
Oh yeah,
If you're on your
shit.
phone, swipe to the side. If you're not.
Oh, of course. Thank you. Okay. So, what did you guys think of the set in the bedroom? I thought it was
Technical
lovely.
difficulties.
It looks amazing, man.
Yeah, no, all of the sets were incredible. And the way that they replicated the images of Van Gogh, including the color palette, because his color palette is very unique and I watched a documentary on his expression of color years ago, and how he uses block colors as opposed to detail, or like the lack of detail to illustrate mood. So the bar, there's that famous exterior of the bar, but there's also an interior painting he did.
Right.
And that interior painting, there was like some unique way he used color and light to show the depth of the space. And they realized that really well, because we don't live in a painting, but we can if we're looking up at the stars and imagining what a painting looks like.
Totally.
Because that was
I love
also
that.
incredible.
Yeah, the way he says, like, I love how he describes the doctor's like, how he's like, I can see the colours, I can hear them. It's like, the performance is lovely, and you can so tell, like, Van Gogh would have been like that, and it's just nice that you can see Van Gogh actually talking to someone for once about his actual art.
Yeah, he's so passionate. It's great.
It's brilliant. I thought it was a great scene. One of my least favourite things is the big ass chicken bird, and when Amy's getting attacked outside, it is probably my least favourite part of the episode. I know they have to chuck in something. Obviously, they have to chuck in a villain, but yeah. Also, I say this to Dan because I watched it with Dan. I noticed a lot of ADR on this episode that kind of took me out a little bit. Oh yeah, go on,
Yeah,
Xavier.
okay.
So I just looked this up because the way you described that scene made me think that Van Gogh has synesthesia. So do you know what synesthesia is?
No.
It's where you get an input, a sensory input, and you from that sensory input another sensory is triggered. So some people can hear colors or smell colors or see sounds. You know, it's a thing that if you've watched True Detective, it's what Matthew McConaughey's character has.
Right.
He talks about it a lot.
Right.
But I just looked it up, and the first result is that some historians believe that he had an auditory visual form of synesthesia where sounds would trigger colours, which is what results in
Amazing.
That kind of thing. Yeah.
Amazing. Wow.
Sorry, I know I look so gross, just like sorting out my snoz, my runny
That's all right.
snoz.
You kind of pixelated from my angle, so it's okay.
Okay, that's good.
That's why we're audio only.
Yes, so you don't
exactly.
see that stuff.
I do like one of my favourite bits of the episode is when they get Van Gogh to draw. They're like, show us what it looked like, and he grabs a painting from the side and he paints over it.
Yeah,
and Amy and the doctor are like, no. And he's like, what? So that could have been really good. Yeah, and then he starts drawing the. I'm gonna keep calling it Clefairy from Pokemon.
He was
Clefairy.
Clefairy.
Yeah, he was incredibly. For the lack of work that he did, for like the lack of recognition that he got, he was incredibly prolific. Like last tour of Europe that I did, I was in England, and then I went to Netherlands. I went to the Netherlands, and they have in Amsterdam they have a whole lot of his self-portraits and random shit. But like all of his work is mostly in the UK, and I saw all of it there, and it's just funny going like, there's more Van Gogh?
Yeah,
What?
yeah. I saw the sunflower image in the National Gallery. I did.
Did it say for Amy on it?
I checked and it didn't. Genuinely, I looked at it and was like,
of course.
does it? I know it probably
God.
doesn't, but I'll check anyways.
I do like the machine the doctor uses though, with the scan thing, and it's got the little mirror on the back. Again,
That's fun and convenient, but it's fun.
It's convenient, of course, but I like it.
They've just made another Medusa, basically.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
I like how he scans himself, and then William Hartnell comes out first, and then it's like scanning all his different faces. I thought that was funny, and it scans. They scan the picture, and of course, like you were saying, Zay, all the little birds pop up. I do like how he goes aside though, and you can only see it in the mirror. I thought that was fun. Again, this whole part is my least favorite part with the monster. I do just love all the scenes with the Doctor and Amy and all that, and the scene next, especially when he goes into Van Gogh's room and he's just on the bed crying because he knows that the Doctor and Amy are leaving, and they're the only people that ever paid him attention about the one thing he really cared about. And I do respect, and this is exactly what depression is. It's I do respect how even though he wants the Doctor to stay, he snaps at him and yells at him and tells him to go. And it's well, that's exactly what mental health is. You take it out on the people that you love the most. And I thought that was a very
and
impactful
it's one of those
scene.
things where it's maybe the Doctor did go in and try to fix it a little bit. And
of course,
I can't remember exactly what the exchange is, but it did come across very much like he was come on,
get
out of bed, champ, like your mum would do.
Yeah, and it's
and he was kind of no, fuck off, which is totally real. And I love that they kind of did that. You'd kind of expect a family show to have Vincent turn around and be like, okay, let's go do the painting, and kind of maybe turn a bit of a blind eye. So I'm glad they really showcased the reality of things.
There is one other line as well a bit later, but I'll bring it up now just for context. But when I like how the Doctor's like, Vincent, he's like, I've always found that depression is an insanely complex thing, and he goes to explain his like philosophy on it, and Vincent's like, be quiet, I'm trying to hear the colours. But I do like how they did mention depression, that even the Doctor has sympathy for people who suffer with such a horrible illness.
Yeah,
I thought that was great. Yeah, go on, Zave. You got your hand up. You got mad.
There's a line which I remember, which is very impactful after he's had his mental breakdown that the Doctor sees, and he's like, from my experience, yada yada yada, and then Van Gogh turns to this 1,000-year-old man and goes, "Then your experience is incomplete." That just got me. That was just
really good.
Yeah,
it's really well written. It's so different. It's such a colourful episode as well. This season's so good, by the way. But yeah, Anyway, as we're about to leave, I do like Amy's like, we can't just leave him out. It's like, well, we know what happens in a few months. Like, there is this part of them that's just like, maybe we can't save him. Then he does come out and he's like, yep, let's go paint this church. There is 2 references to. I know you haven't watched the last episode, Xavier, but well, I know you have seen it, but not in our rewatch. But this is the episode where Rory got shot by the Silurians, so there's like 2 little references because Amy forgot due to the crack that Rory exists. But then Vincent says to her, "I can tell you're upset. I can see through your pain," and she's like crying and stuff. There's like, and then at one point, the Doctor calls Vincent Rory. I like that. It wasn't too on the nose. I liked it. There was just minimal.
Well, it's like that later on when I think Pete goes through a thing like this, Capaldi, and Capaldi definitely does, and then Jodie later on of like they don't have their companions with them, but they talk like their companions are there.
Yeah. That stuff's great.
But I just love these like little things, these little writing cues they're doing, where it really makes season 5 feel like like a proper story. Like the only other time that like obviously the show always has episodes and stuff which lead to a larger story. But the only other time I think we've been this close to a proper serial story is with season 3. That was quite a lot of that. I remember me and you, Connor, rewatching it and being surprised at how much each episode, whether it was just like, in 42, the phone call to Martha's mum.
Yeah, with the Saxon,
Like, stuff was building throughout season 3. And this season's done that, and I think even more so. But still managed to keep a really episodic format.
Yeah.
But still tell like a long story. And I really love it. It's been really excellent seeing them execute that properly.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there, definitely. I totally agree.
That's what I do. I hit nails.
The scene though where like the church is really cool. I like how the Doctor's like trying to chat in the background and keep everyone entertained. He's like, this is taking forever. But then he does see eventually in the good old chicken boy in the window in the church. Again, these scenes, did you like those scenes? I don't really. They were definitely the weaker part of the episode for me.
I'm about to sniz.
No.
Wait. Hold the phone. No.
And Xavier's gone somewhere.
Sorry, I'll
just take the rein, folks.
My thing has dropped out. I've just got to double check on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
You're good?
Yep, I'm back. Cool.
Yo.
Banging. The Crephaeus stuff.
Very.
It is what it is, It's like, I feel like this episode did need it because there is times in the show where it's had a strong side story, and then I feel like the alien plot has just been added in. I feel like this episode did kind of need that because other than that, there isn't a massive story being told. Like the Vincent stuff's great, but I really did need something like this to sort of push it on. I think
well,
for
Doctor
me,
Who
it's just the fact that it kind of maybe leads to nowhere and. It's quite short. Like, all this stuff kind of wraps up about 32, 33 minutes into the episode.
Yeah, it does, but it wraps up in that scene, yeah.
Yeah, I would have rather that extra, like, maybe 5 minutes on the runtime, dive into that a bit more. And,
New Who has never had any pure historicals, right? It's always aliens.
Yeah, exactly.
And so what we really need is, like, a countryside, The
Torchwood what do you mean by that?
The Torchwood,
yeah.
Yeah.
Countryside's great. Where the answer is not aliens.
Yeah. Yeah,
because that's a valid option.
I've always thought
that's
that.
Cool.
Because, that talks about how evil humanity can get. And if there's a Doctor Who episode where it's like how good humanity can be, but without aliens, it's just like,
I always thought that maybe a cool... And this isn't an Aiden for showrunner. This isn't in Aiden's... In Aiden's planned series.
Aiden for showrunner. I'm here for it.
Hashtag Aiden for showrunner.
Oh, the sting.
You know why I'm saying you should be showrunner?
What was that?
Because as your understudy, I will get it 3 years later.
True.
Not even a guest writer.
Mate, it's an 8-season over 10-year plan, so you got to wait a bit.
So you wait a little bit.
No, but just as a concept, I've not really thought about this too much, but I always thought maybe a cool episode would be like one set in World War II, like Nazi Germany or something like that. And if you do your research, I'm sure there's a lot of like really fucked up stuff that the Nazis did that isn't too well known yet. There's always
there's a lot of media that touches on. There's a lot of media that touches on this the amount of random heinous shit that the Nazis have done. That's that no one knows about.
Exactly. So I thought maybe a cool thing to explore something like that would be like there's a plot and it's so bizarre and it's so weird, but perhaps it's true, and the whole way through the Doctor's trying to figure out like what's the alien race that's causing this shit to happen or something like that. But it turns out that it is just like something that humanity's caused, whether it's a Nazi Germany story or it's just something
I reckon
else.
Nazi Germany is too obvious. I think you need something smaller, like.
It can be. I'm just saying, like, as a principle,
Inuits,
something that is
there's
true.
a very horrible story of... I'm not very detailed on it. I only know a few third-hand accounts, but there was, like, resettlement of Inuits in the north of Canada, in Quebec. They just forced them to live in this town that was not set up for them because of the fear of the Cold War. So the government went, you people who are living happily, you live here now, and you can't actually sustain... Like, they knew that they couldn't sustain themselves there, but they forced them to live there because Cold War, no.
Or perhaps if I was to get the BBC to pack their bags so we could make an episode Down Under, something maybe in reference to the Stolen Generation or something like that.
That would be great. I was thinking that, an Australian episode, because they've only been to Australia twice.
Yeah, that's the Australian episode out. That'd be sick. Come on.
Yeah.
Come to Australia.
I think the ship sailed for that because we had all the American ones, and that was when Who was in its prime. Yeah. So unless we get a big comeback, I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Yeah.
Well, like Jodie's weirdly popular, but probably among kids. So like it hasn't lost its viewership per se.
Yeah, no. We're definitely gonna still keep going for a long time. A lot of people are scared of like viewing figures and stuff. I think maybe it's not, it's not as big. It's not like season 4, season 5 big, but it's still such a gun of a show. So there's definitely a chance, especially, maybe we get a new Doctor and stuff and it wins back some fans that have been lost and stuff like that, whilst also keeping on the young Jodie fans and stuff like that. There's definitely a chance for it to just like, get back on the horse. So love that. Yeah. Where were we in the episode?
Well, the Keferi gets stabbed, and it's sad.
Oh no, there's the cool scene when they're like in the wardrobe or something, and the lighting's kind of cool, shining through. And
I think that's I think that's like a confession box.
Confession booth, yeah.
That's it, confession booth. Yeah, I like that.
Confessional.
That's it. I much preferred the scene afterwards though, where they're all lying down on the grass and they all like link arms.
Oh, bruh.
That's
Chef's
really,
kiss.
Yeah.
That's really
that's the looking up at the sky one. Yeah.
Before we get to that, because that's such a big, beautiful thing, I want to talk about that a bit. Before we get to that, the Crephaeus, right? What did you guys think of the death of the Crephaeus?
It's alright.
I mean,
it's alright.
They need to resolve the A plot somehow.
Yeah.
I know, but don't you feel like the Doctor should have been like, Van Gogh, what the fuck, man? Like, you just killed. Like, I feel like any other day the Doctor would turn around and go off.
Because he knew it was like he describes from the outset the Crephaeus as like a pseudo Dalek kind of thing. So Daleks dying, he's not phased with.
I don't know.
I don't
but
know.
wasn't it just scared? Wasn't it just scared and
it was blind? It was blind as well.
Yeah, I just feel like it was maybe the wrong message. I don't know.
I feel like he was almost
there's a lot of weird
defending
messages
himself
you
in
can
a
take
way.
from Doctor Who episodes.
I don't know.
Like the whole don't put your problems in a cupboard. Next episode, let's kill Hitler. Put Hitler in the closet.
Legit, yeah.
And the next one,
that's actually
isn't
pretty
that
good.
about like a cupboard in a toy box in a wardrobe?
In
or
Night
something?
Terrors.
yeah.
I know. I thought you were going for Night Terrors then. And I was like, shit.
That's
Oh,
funny.
that's good. I didn't think of it like that. That's pretty funny. No, I think it's fine. I mean, like, I think the reason he killed it was because he was defending himself. Again, I wasn't really a huge fan of that whole part of the story anyway, so I was more like, at least we get more scenes now that are more emotional, and that beautiful scene with the sky was stunning. Really good.
Chef's kiss, man. It looks beautiful as well. The VFX for that was
It's
just
also-
perfect.
Yeah.
The way it works.
Well, it
the
reminds me of Loving
Yeah.
Vincent, which was the movie about him that was all rotoscoped to look like his paintings, and it's
really?
just gorgeous. Yeah.
It is gorgeous,
Yeah.
and it's because his paintings always, in a way, kind of represent movement. The way he does move the paint, so it was such like a beautiful way of showcasing that stuff. The colors looked awesome. The blues, even the sky, the shot of the sky before they started doing the painting stuff, just had just a nice blue to it that just looks so magical.
Yeah. Well,
and
yeah,
just the moment,
because
just the stuff they're talking about on the ground is just. It's just so beautiful. It's so well shot, and it's great.
Yeah.
I love it. I froth.
yeah, it is froth-worthy, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
I think
And
as
Murray's
well, it's such
score?
a- Sorry.
Oh yeah, I miss Murray so much. It's so
Yeah,
good.
Murray's. I
How-
think as well.
How the
It's like a really good. It's an episode as well. You can, even if you're not a fan of Doctor Who, you can show someone who's a huge fan of art or Vincent van Gogh,
Yeah.
or you just want to show them it. It's very standalone. Apart from the odd comment about Rory, like there's literally
Yeah.
next to nothing that you ever have to know about Doctor Who. You know, if you get what I mean.
Yeah. How the hell did the new composer get an award for his compositions?
What's the
He
guy
just won an
Nakanoa?
award.
Man,
Yeah,
you hate
yeah.
Jodie Zero, don't you? Jesus
No,
Christ.
well, his music is shit.
It's not
What?
shit. It's just different to what we used
It's
to.
okay. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. It's not my favorite.
There's
but-
no. It's just like the Doctor walks into the room and the Wonder Woman's theme plays. That would be reasonable,
Well, 13's
in
theme's
this
great.
era.
I love. Da, 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 da,
Yeah, but it's not overt, and I miss overt music, as it were.
I agree.
And then the Masters theme. The Masters theme's great.
Yeah, the music's good, but we don't hear it enough. Like, it needs to be in the forefront, because that's what I don't know. It's maybe the mixers are in the wrong, not the composer.
I think it's just because they're going for more of an ambient kind of slow-paced score. Maybe that's why it gets lost a little bit too. But
Yeah, I don't like it. I want my John Williams-esque arias.
I get that. I am with you on it. I don't hate it as much as you, but I think it's good in some places. But I agree. I don't notice the score like when I watch an episode.
Look, I don't hate it. I vehemently dislike it.
Take that how you will, folks. Yeah, I get you though. I get you though. I don't notice it in an episode, which is the weirdest thing because I was so used to listening to Murray and noticing it left, right, and center. But
Yeah, the
yeah.
most recent time I recognized music playing was when the Daleks were fighting the Daleks in the most recent episode. Because then it just went score, and I'm like, oh, there it is.
there it is. Yeah, I get that. To be fair. Oh God.
man.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. So this is it's the scene that everyone wants to talk about here. The scene where they're like, you know what? Why don't we take him away and take him to Paris in current day and show
Oh,
him
yeah.
all the paintings. Very beautiful scene.
Bill Nye's moment in that
Ah,
is just
brilliant.
incredible.
Fantastic.
And the music that plays. Are you going to continue to be annoying, Aiden?
Yeah, he does this all the time. Like literally all the
all
time.
the chances, well,
Like literally,
you
this is literally all I have to deal with. I'm not a fan of that song in the background. There, I said it. I would have
Fuck you.
score.
I
liked
can't believe
it.
you. Get
I
out.
liked it. It
Get
was
out.
great.
Take him from the Zoom.
Thank you.
Get rid of him.
And
Thank you.
just like,
Thank you.
and the acting, just all round the acting, and you know that. Fun fact:
Yeah.
Just so
Nah,
overwhelmed.
It's
you
so
are
good.
aware I'm Italian.
Are you? No, I'm joking.
Yes,
I mean-
I'm half Italian. I take offence.
I meant to say, oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed.
Oh, Lordy, what is going? Anyway, you know that the first bow tie that Bill Nye wears, the one with the polka dots.
Yes.
They individually sewed on the polka dots for that.
Yes,
him.
I saw he said that in the lockdown tweet along.
Yeah.
He said that, yeah.
Why did
It
why,
was
though?
it was just like, you want a bow tie? Cool.
Take one with polka dots.
Also,
Nah,
don't
yeah.
mix up your Bill Nyes. I know they both wear bow ties.
Bill Nye.
Science
Yeah,
guy.
true.
Yeah, that whole final sequence. I don't know why you hate it so much, Connor.
I
that's a
don't
song.
hate it.
No, like,
I just-
I think
I
it's the
never
perfect
said
song.
that.
I've listened to it a lot on
Connor,
a
Connor.
downy day, on a sad
You
boy
don't
day.
hate it. You vehemently dislike it.
Exactly.
And
Nah,
just the
even
way
not
it's shot,
that.
like
Ugh.
all the panning around, the close-up shots we get where it's like, it's a shot of the Van Gogh, like what's the word, like it's saying like, welcome to the Van Gogh Museum or
Yeah, that's
something,
awesome.
and then Van Gogh steps in front of it. It's a close-up
they
of
do
his
it with
eyes, and you get
Amy
that again with Amy when she comes
later.
back.
Mm.
And yeah, all
Yeah,
the
the
panning,
parallels.
or
It's
just
so
the
good.
crying. The performance from Bill Nye is just like a crazy, just great thing, and it's just so perfect.
I don't hate
yeah,
the
Bill
song.
Nye's
I don't
like,
hate the song.
Bill
for
Nye
some
plays
context.
an art gallery dude that doesn't know what's going on, but knows how important it is to this bloke, and he just does it so
That's
well.
what. Do you think he knows it was Vincent?
There's
do you think
the shot that lingers at the end as
Yeah.
they leave of Bill Nye.
Yeah.
He kind of looks
Yeah.
into himself, so that's
Yeah.
it kind of implies something, but
Yeah.
it doesn't.
Yeah.
I love that.
But, like,
I thought that was
It would be
brilliant.
completely outside of his frame of reference, right? Completely outside
yeah,
of
of course,
his frame
yeah,
of reference.
of course. It could just be a fan who liked to look like him, or just generally likes him because he looks like him, that kind of thing. But
Yeah. I'm annoyed they didn't
Yeah.
park the TARDIS in the museum, because we all know John Cleese showed up last time that happened.
Who?
What?
There's a classic episode where the TARDIS is parked in a modern art museum, and John Cleese is playing an art
No way.
critic, and he goes past the TARDIS and goes, "You see this? This is amazing. It's chic, it's modern," and I can't remember what his actual lines are. I'm paraphrasing
way.
here, but he goes, yada yada, and then Tom and his companion walk into the TARDIS, and the TARDIS disappears, and there's Cleese there going, "Excellent."
That's amazing.
Basically.
That's awesome.
And that's
yeah.
the only part of the episode that he's in, but it's the John Cleese in Doctor Who.
That's cool.
Yeah, I personally would have. Look, I personally would have preferred a bit of score, but I think I like it in the sense that it's different. I don't hate the song Aiden. Aiden's making me sound like I hate it. I really don't. I really love that scene so much. If I could have done it my way, I would have put in a bit of score.
We
but
always get score. It
I
was
know,
just
but
nice to
that's
have
why.
like
That's why
a
it was
song.
a bit. It's why it was just a bit out of place to me. That's all. That's all.
I don't think.
Well, like, look. If we
Bit
look, let's
poppy, bit too
backtrack
poppy.
to let's use About Time as a basis. Okay, About Time has two score pieces. One of them written by an actual composer, and one of them is Spiegel im Spiegel by Avro Part, I think is how you pronounce it. And then everything else is pop, like old pop music. And they use the two themes very, very well. And like it's the inverse of what's happening here, where the special occurrence is the classical music, whereas here the
Yeah.
special occurrence is the pop track. So it brings
it
power
probably
to the
was.
scenes
It probably
more
was
because
written in
it's
to be. Yeah.
special.
Yeah, I'm sure it was written to be like, this could be special, we should do it. I think it's really good they did it. I just didn't like it as much as this time now, rewatching it. I remember before I was like, this is awesome. It's like when they played Feel the Love by Rudimental in Asylum of the Daleks. I was like, that's mad. For like a brief, yeah.
And when they play Titanium in Power of Three.
Yes, yeah, they started playing through that.
Or they play Toxic in
And Tainted
Love.
Love.
Kill the Earth.
Tainted Love. Tainted Love.
Yeah. That was good though, because 9. Just
I like
because
that.
9.
That
I
is
like
great.
that.
Last thing I want to say on this big scene is that I just couldn't believe I watched this episode at like 8:30 in the morning with a cup of coffee. Usually those episodes, when I do that, that's usually for like an episode that's great, not an episode that's going to make me cry. Usually I like to save that for like a beer, having a few beers, and it'll make me cry
Bit
more.
of a bev, yeah.
The fact that at 8:30 in the morning with a cup of coffee, my eyes welled. Like
Yeah.
I had water come up into my eyes. Just say something about how powerful that final scene is. Like, just fucking crazy, man. crazy.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Well, they do drop him off though, and of course, what happens inevitably happens. And I think again, it's a great comment on mental health in the extent where just because you're feeling happiness for one moment doesn't mean it solves everything. And obviously, the tragedy did happen, and they do go back to the art gallery, and he didn't make any more art, but he did leave that little message for Amy, which I thought was a beautiful way for the episode to end. Is that beautiful shot of them looking at it as well?
Yeah,
and
great,
Amy
great
getting emotional about it. That's like just Karen Gillan just pulling all the stops there.
Yeah, totally.
Like,
beautiful ending.
Because it could have been such a grim end, and it's sort of a thing where maybe they would have written themselves in a corner where they're like, they don't want to change the day he died and stuff like that.
Yeah, I totally get that.
That would just be wrong.
Yeah.
And the fact that they still found a way, maybe that slightly changes history, but doesn't take away from like the seriousness of what happened, is just a massive cool props to them for thinking of to do the whole for Amy thing. Like, that's great. And you're right, that last shot, because I think there's the Dr. Jarvis hand on like Amy's shoulder or something like that. There's just the way that they're positioned next to each other is just perfect.
Apart from Heaven Sent, that's the only other shot from Doctor Who to be on the Twitter page, One Perfect Shot. They put that shot in there, and they also put the Heaven Sent shot where Pete's touching the wall. They're the only two I've seen on there, but yeah, they are lovely shots. It's
they are
very emotional episode, really great.
This is showing my me, but the David Pipe Billy like on the wall to each other at Doomsday. That's just
that's cool.
That's amazing.
There are some really good ones that
the end of when we see the afterface of Bo's death, the second time we go to that planet with Martha, when all of the hover cars are flying up into that's quite pretty. The sun rises and there's all these hover cars entering the city.
Beautiful stuff for sure, like definitely. Yeah.
Particularly in Rachel's episode, she's got a great way of directing visuals. I just got caught up on her two Doctor Who YouTube videos she's done, and they're so insightful. And the fact that she actually like has like she shows like proof of concept reels and stuff, like early drafts of like her sketches.
This? Sorry,
and so you know Rachel Talele. So she started a YouTube channel where she talks about behind the scenes of the things she's worked on. She's done 3 videos so far, and one of them was for Heaven Sent, and another one was for The Doctor Falls.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just so insightful. Like, she also shows like proof of concept of like how they were first gonna start Heaven Sent with like a CGI shot of the castle that they go in, and like placeholder footage that they had. It's just like really cool to see that stuff about, like, you expect to see that stuff about like big feature films. Just the fact that like she's just so passionate about it that she's delivering that quality of behind the scenes content for Doctor Who is awesome.
Well, I mean, that happens by default in any production. We just don't get to see it, right?
I know, but that's what I mean. The fact that she's actually like giving it to us just for free on YouTube is just incredible. And the knowledge that she spills out is just priceless, really.
Yeah, it's really groovy. Really good.
Yeah. So that's it. That's Vincent in the dock. Cut to black. Wowee. Shall we move on to Australia's favourite segment, everybody?
Let's do it.
It's time for Goof of the Week! Do you boys have any goofs from this episode? Any little mess ups?
I don't actually.
No? Nothing from Xavier?
I think there's a boom in a shot in the museum.
Classic.
You think you saw a boom, did you?
I don't think I see it, because that's dumb, given that I haven't recently watched the episode. No, I think that I remember someone saying that there was a boom in the shot.
There was one in it, yeah. Yeah, maybe. I can't remember any.
Wasn't on TARDIS Wiki. I don't have any. I feel like I did, but I forgot it. I don't know. I hate when you think maybe you have one, but you don't. I don't know.
Yeah, weird. I guess the only thing I can think about is, I said this to Dan, but I mean, I noticed a lot of ADR, even though it's not really a goof, but I did notice a lot of the scenes where Matt wasn't talking and there was like audio playing. Another thing I noticed was when he runs down the alleyway in the day and he's got that machine on and he's looking through the mirror and he's running away from something, and then he gets around the corner and then when he looks around the corner, the creature then like kind of starts running after him.
Yeah,
it's like
TARDIS Wiki mentioned that.
Yeah, because it's standing by the TARDIS, and then Matt runs away from. I guess it's because it's invisible and you couldn't really see his running, but you kind of hear stamping. So yeah.
It doesn't mention anything about ADR, but it does mention that there's a moment where Matt like screams as he's running away, and he's like ah, and his mouth doesn't really move. So that's probably a bit of ADR.
Yeah, pretty simple
a lot
stuff.
of Doctor Who has it, especially Jodie's era. Like, sorry, I know we've kind of shat on Jodie's era a bit this episode, but
Look,
there is
Jodie's
a lot of
Jodie's a wonderful actor. They're all amazing actors. The writing is shit.
Yeah, totally.
That we established that from the beginning.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's jump into a few of TARDIS Wiki's little bloopers. So, apparently when Van Gogh's painting the church, Amy's tights just disappear in that scene. She has tights on for the rest of the episode, but they're just not in that scene. As to how we don't notice this shit is ridiculous.
Oh Lord.
I think Robin of Locksley stole them. That's a Robin Hood Men in Tights joke. Sorry, I'm very obtuse.
Jesus. Maybe Amy got a bit carried away now that she's single again. The wiring when the Doctor gets pushed by the Crephaeus in the church. Apparently, you can see the Doctor's wires.
Okay,
which is quite funny. And apparently, it's very faint, but apparently in the painting of the church, in the final scene, you can still slightly see the Crephaeus in the painting. Like, they've painted over it, but it's still slightly there. Which I didn't pick up on. But
so it's just been like a prop or something, and they had to just paint over it.
Yeah, they probably just had made a bunch of painting replicas of all the Van Gogh paintings. And yeah, God. Starry Night, I think, is actually my favourite painting of all time. Not that I'm a painter.
Yeah, I'd agree.
But I really love that image. It's very good.
Yeah, I agree.
I can tell you it's not mine. That's for sure. I don't know what would be, but it's definitely not mine.
Well, you know what?
Something
You're wrong.
In Florence.
Shall we move on to Australia's second favourite segment?
Yes.
Let's do it.
It's time for Behind the Scenes. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's talk about the behind-the-scenes goss of the episode. There's not much behind-the-scenes goss, just a few facts, actually. So a message and a phone number for the BBC Action Line was broadcast following the Next Time trailer for those wanting more information on issues raised in the program. So that was very good.
I thought we could do that in our descriptions this week.
Yeah, we'll if you're in need of a chat, we'll drop some lifelines down in the
I was going to do that on Instagram.
In the description. Yeah, because that stuff's important. You know, I know some people that stuff's been important too. So
yeah, totally.
If you need a chat, it's a good place to go to.
Yeah, it's always good to alert people of those facilities.
Yeah, they're there for a reason, and utilize them if you need them. So you guys probably picked up on this, but the accordion player in the cafe is clearly playing a version of I Am the Doctor from the Series 5 soundtrack.
Yes.
This is quite cool.
Harry Smooth and Media said that I watched his review, like a couple of weeks ago, and he brought that up. I thought that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool. Here's a weird one, and I don't know why it happened. Maybe because it was a favor and he wasn't paid for it, or something. I'm not quite sure. I don't know how it all worked, but Bill Nye was not credited for his role. That also makes it kind of mysterious, because there's a lot of talk out there that maybe he was like, you know how there's the curator, and the curator is meant to be like a future version of the Doctor. Yeah. That maybe Bill Nye is another.
No,
future version of the Doctor.
it was probably because it was a favor to Richard.
Yeah, but you think you still credit him,
Dick,
you know? Cause it's not like it's a small cameo. It's like I know it's not a huge role, but it still would have been a couple of days on set, I can imagine. So.
Yeah, interesting. That's so weird. They didn't even credit him. That is odd.
Very weird. This is the first episode of the entire show. So, if you didn't know, since 1963, where the end of the episode cuts to black. Again, just adding to the drama of it all. Crazy. Richard Curtis's children helped him come up with some of the ideas for the story. which is quite cool.
That's very Richard Curtis.
Yeah. And the last point I have here, we already discussed, which was that it was filmed in Croatia alongside Vampires of Venice. So there you go. That was behind the scenes.
All right.
Not much goss, but just some interesting facts there. So I don't know if you've been on the show since we've done this segment, Zay, but we have a third segment. Connor, shall we get into it?
Let's do it.
It's time for Just Twitter Tings. Now, Zave, in just Twitter Things, I asked on Twitter and Connor asked on Instagram, what our followers and friends of the show and things like that, what they think of the episodes, and they write little reviews and stuff like that. So we got a few here. One actually,
yeah, I've answered some of them. So I get
you have, haven't you? Yeah, on Insta.
Yeah.
So one literally came through as we were having this conversation, and I posted it like 4 days ago. I think because one day Dylan asked, when are we doing our review for it? When are we recording it? And I think Vinny, who just sent in her review just then, I think maybe she caught on that we do them on Mondays. So now when it comes to Monday and she's not posted it, she's like, shit, better get it in.
Bless her. That's sweet. Thanks,
I don't
Vinny.
know. Or just a coincidence. Who knows? Yeah, thanks, Vinny. You literally got it in with, 10 minutes to spare.
That's it.
It literally just came in. All right, so I said, Vincent and the Doctor, a fan-fave episode, but what are your thoughts? And I got the classic gif of Van Gogh crying, saying, can't handle emotions. So Vinny says, top tier. The use of the song in the scene where Vincent sees the museum is just perfection. That's right, Connor. Fuck you. The story with the alien is pretty dull.
I concur.
But that's because the most interesting thing is Van Gogh himself. Also, sorry my review is late. I seem to enjoy cutting it fine.
You sure do, Vinny.
Yeah, you do.
Talk about cutting it fine during the recording.
Literally crazy. The man himself, Dylan, he says, one of my favourite episodes. Beautiful episode. Still can't believe Richard Curtis wrote for Doctor Who. 10 out of 10. Dan Peters says, a fantastic episode. It feels so different to any other story. Tony Curran's performance is excellent. The story's handling of a tough subject like depression in a primetime family show is very impressive. Arguably, the actual threat isn't that interesting, but this episode isn't about that. It's about Vincent. The gallery scene gets me every time, and it will surely go down as one of the greatest moments of Doctor Who ever. 9 out of 10. Yeah, I think everyone's pretty much on the same page that like the Crofea stuff is just so like a bit but it's really about.
But we got
Vincent.
it just quickly. The Crofea stuff is pretty meh, but the Crofeus is a metaphor for mental health. How it's an invisible to everyone else, but only Van Gogh can see it. Yeah, and it itself is blind. Yeah. It's just like
That's such a big point. I can't believe we didn't talk about that when we were discussing the episode.
No. It's like I kind of knew that, but didn't say it. I don't know why I didn't say it.
Yeah.
Is that you, Aiden, done?
Connor, do you have any Instagrams?
Alright, Vincent Doctor Review from Jacob Hine. This episode is great. Everything about it works so well. From seeing something in the painting to meeting Vincent and everything with the invisible alien chicken. You're not the only one who thinks it's a chicken, Zave. There you go. But when they go to the future and Vincent sees his pain in the is so emotional and well done. And the speech when Amy finds that there are no new paintings is also fantastic. The touch of him writing Amy on the painting is a beautiful way to end the episode. 9 out of 10. If you were showrunner, what historical figure would you use, and what would you do with them?
I love that he gives us a question. I say this every week. I love the questions he gives us at the end of his reviews.
Oh god, that's a good question actually. Shit,
that is a really good question.
I know exactly, but I need to look up the guy's name, so you guys have to go first.
Oh god,
I don't know. I'm stumped with that one. I was actually thinking about this the other day because I was like, Van Gogh was such a good choice for an episode like this. And I was like, what could I do in hashtag Aiden for showrunner in an episode like this?
These questions always stump me in a good way.
This one stumped me the most.
Shit, I don't know what to say. I don't know, like, oh dear,
I
don't know.
Maybe someone like Neil Armstrong because I love that whole late 1960s, 1970s space race, all that kind of period. I know they kind of do that in the show, but maybe have an episode that actually has Neil Armstrong as a bigger picture. But at the same time, it's like I don't know if there's anything that you know, with Vincent, it's great because you can tack into things like depression and stuff like that. I don't know if there's quite as much you could do with someone like Neil Armstrong, so that's a bit of a maybe.
I reckon someone in the music industry would have been cool, like do like a David Bowie episode or like a Freddie Mercury. It'd be cool if they actually touched on music.
That would be cool, and incorporate their music into the episode a bit would be cool.
That'd be sick. Yeah, I know there's a lot of like biopics these days of artists, but I reckon they could do something cool with that.
Oh, I've always thought the Beatles would be a good choice. I think
that would be cool. Yeah, I'm kind of stumped for ideas because I'm on the spot here, but that's what I'm thinking about right now.
Bring back Richard Curtis to do a Beatles episode since he's today.
Yes, 100%. I'm down. No, okay, so I've got my answer. So my initial inclination is always to do something Italian. So I one of the famous artists of the time of the Renaissance period, like Da Vinci or Donatello. Donatello specifically because he made a pulpit, a very famous pulpit in the town where I stayed most of my time while I was in Italy, Prato, and it's a very weird pulpit as it's meant to display this belt, this holy belt, which was meant to have been dangled from the heavens to prove that the religion exists. It's got a lot. It's a lot more complex than that. I'm not a necessarily religious person, but they have a celebration every year to show this belt to everyone. So something regarding that. But my actual answer is Dante Alighieri, who is the guy who was the first person to write down Italian as a language. And I think it would be really cool to investigate the guy that created the language that is Italian.
That's really good, actually.
That's very interesting. Yeah. My dumb silly boy takeaway from that, Xav, was you started it by saying because of me I would have to do something Italian, and I was like, whoa, is Xav writing a historical about the origins of the Italian shop, the Italian restaurant just down the road from me? It's called something Italian. It's great because whenever my parents are like, oh, where are you going for dinner? And I'm like, oh, something Italian. They're like, oh yeah, where? And I'm like, no, something Italian. They're like, where?
Classic.
Something Italian.
There's a one near where I live called Ti amo, which is, if you know Italian, is very funny because you're telling everyone that you love them. Ti amo is I love you. So whenever you talk about if I was going to meet the person I hate most in this entire world, I would still be saying I love you to them.
Quickly, before we move on to Dylan's review, because he sent me one as well. Hey, you know how you said we should get Richard Curtis to write something with the Beatles?
Yeah.
I was reading here, in the 2012, someone remade the artwork for Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, and he's in it. I'm actually looking at my vinyl of it right now. I can't see him personally, but apparently he's on it. That's pretty cool that you said that. Yeah, it says here. It says that he's in the famous cover. There's heaps of people on it. So
wait, Richard Curtis is on the cover.
Yeah, it literally says here. It says in 2012, Curtis is one of the British icons selected by artist Sir Peter Blake to appear in a new version of his famous artwork, the cover of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
Interesting.
That's crazy. There you go.
Very
interesting. Said he should do something with the Beatles. Look at you going.
Well, that was just meant to be, wasn't it?
It was just meant to be.
I'll read. Go on to Dylan's review then.
Dylan sent me something as well. He said, Vincent Dot's review, what a great episode. I'm glad Richard Curtis didn't go for some epic twisty-turny story about a intergalactic evil trying to destroy the universe, and instead he went for a low-key simple story about Vincent van Gogh and depression. Tony Curran is excellent as Vincent, really bringing the character to life in a convincing way. The set design is great. You really feel like you are in the Netherlands, and who could forget that ending? Beautiful stuff. Definitely the best scene of season 5, if not all of Matt's era. 10 out of 10 for me. Wow, I really do hand them out like it's nothing. Kinda. But that's okay. We still love you, man. Cheers. Thank you for that.
Love it.
And that is all I've got.
Yeah, I gotta agree. Yeah. It's such a strong episode. I think it was good after last week maybe being a little bit of a lackluster two-parter. Great to sort of get a hole in one or a home run. No, home run would mean the finale. Just a great episode is what I'm trying to say.
It still could be a home run. It could be a one-off home run, like Blink or Heaven Sent.
True.
I'll
allow it.
Why not?
Yeah.
Gotta be done.
Yeah, cool. Do you have anything else from Instagram or anything to discuss, Connor?
That's it for me.
That's it. Lovely. Well, God, it's so good when we actually have a really strong episode to discuss because so many more people get involved. Like, there's been a few weeks in Series 5 where there's been not too many reviews coming in because people aren't as big of a fan of the Moffat era as they were of the RTD era. So it's been great to have lots of people writing in. So thank you so much for that. If you do want to write in, that's at 50doctor on Twitter and Instagram. We read out your reviews every week.
Oh yeah.
And we love to hear from you guys and chat shit. Which leads me to my next point. Obviously, we're here talking with Xavier right now. Xavier comes on every week. Next week, we've got Dan coming back on the show to talk about the Lodger.
I come on every week.
Xavier comes on every season.
Yeah. I would love to.
Settle down, Xavier. Obviously.
Next week
so Dan's coming on to talk Lodger with us. Something, and Connor and I have spoken briefly about it, but it's something that I really want to push. Is next season, step out of our comfort zone a lot more. We're going into our second year of doing this weekly podcast and a whole new season with season 6. I think we've pretty much had like over a season's worth of just me and Connor because, we did the end of Series 4 just us and then the specials and then all of Series 5 up until this point just us. So I think it's time for season 6. We shake it up and we get like as many people involved as possible, whether that's people active in the Doctor Who community, or just people that we chat to. We're probably not going to take on just a random that we've not spoken to on Twitter yet. So if you are keen, then get talking to us on Twitter. Start a good conversation, and then we'll be happy to have you on the show at some point. So yeah,
I'm going to start doing my live shows as well in under a month.
Yes.
So if you want to start doing them with me, why not? Oh, did you find him?
Yep.
Oh, okay, there you go.
This is the redesigned one.
Yes.
Richard Curtis.
Yes, they've shown us the
where
Sergeant
my
Pepper's.
cursor is.
Awesome.
That's him.
The man.
That's pretty
crazy.
cool. I like that a lot.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah. That's awesome. Last thing I want to say in terms of promo stuff, we still want to do our scores, so don't worry, we're not going anywhere yet. But last little bit of plugging from me is next week. Well, Connor and I were going to try and do a bonus episode so that we could have our, I guess like 1 year anniversary be the Pandora Opens Big Bang. But I also think it's going to be equally fun to do it, do the Lodger with Dan. It's going to be a fun episode, I think. And the pros with that, we're yet to discuss this, so this might not happen. But I think it's definitely doable. Is we were talking about when we do record our Lodger review to also record an episode of For a Laugh. That's Connor and Dan's podcast back to back.
Yeah.
We'll do them 2 shows back to back, and there'll be a bit of a crossover event there, which will be fun. But I was also thinking, seeing as we'll probably do that at Dan's place, where Dan's got the full podcast set up, we should film. We should film our 1 year special, and we'll post that on YouTube as well for when the episode comes out.
That's sick.
I was thinking, so that could be something that maybe makes it a bit special because
why not?
I've just not had the time to sort of go out and make the 1 year special as maybe a special I was hoping it to do. Plus, it's a 1 year special. We just did our 50th episode a few weeks back. It doesn't need to be the biggest event possible.
Our 1 year episode's next week?
Yeah, the next episode we record will be our 1 year.
No shit. That's
crazy,
awesome.
Man.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that sounds
great.
awesome.
That's an impressive feat, guys. Good job.
Weekly.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dave.
I know,
It's
legit.
been a lot of weeks.
It was bi-weekly for a while. You were insane.
Dude, December doing it twice a week was crazy. You know what was crazy? Like, we did it all the way through Capstone, Xavier, and all the way through Liberatus, which we worked on. So that was crazy. When we did Liberatus...
Liberatus only lasted 3 weeks. Capstone must have been difficult, though.
Oh, yeah, it was just crazy in general. But Liberatus was like the 8 night shoots back to back. That was like until like I was getting home at like 4 or 5 a.m. most nights by the time we'd fully packed down and everything. But we did a bunch of like pre-records and stuff to make that work.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting on some cool info at the moment about the next project I'm working on. Nothing's locked in yet, so I don't want to talk about it and tell people, but when I do, I'm very keen to talk about it on this show.
Of course, yeah.
But like when that happens, we might have to do the odd pre-record here and there, just because I think things.
Yeah, no,
are
that's
pick up a bit.
I'm in the same industry. It's perfectly reasonable.
Yeah, it's a fucked industry in terms of just scheduling life.
Oh God, yeah, I totally agree. You got to drop everything at the drop of a hat, but then sometimes nothing happens for like months because people are just like so
Crazy.
slow.
Before we get onto the,
I would like to have. I haven't been on For a Laugh. I still want to be on For a Laugh.
Come on, yeah, sorry.
get Xavier on For a Laugh.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's not just you. We haven't had a guest on in since October.
Yeah.
But that whole production has been a bit funny. For reasons I can't even really say. It's Dan's story. He hasn't even said it on the show, so I'm not even allowed to say. But yeah, the whole thing kind of went a bit fucky. But we're hoping now that we're getting to 100. Well, we hit 100 on Saturday, so I'm hoping as well I start getting more inspired about the show, because I've got, I put a lot of time into it and I want it to be better than it is at the moment. So,
well, I'm excited to come on next week.
Yeah, and
I've kind of invited myself. We haven't discussed this properly.
Major FOMO over here.
No,
very major FOMO.
No, come on. No, honestly, it's not just you. There's a lot of people I've said come on to and not even planned it, so I need to get better at that. And there's a lot of things I want to do, and I really need to just sit down and start planning it.
Well, I felt like continually messaging you about it would be a dick move, so instead I've done the even dicker move of given it a public space and forced you to be accountable.
You should message me about it. It's probably going to help a little bit. With put a bit of a rock up my ass, but yeah, I think that sounds really fun.
And then before we get into our final ratings, I didn't know, it's up to you if you want to disclose this, Save. I'm very excited to see your documentary next month, which is cool.
Oh, a documentary? Go on.
I don't know what your plans are to distribute that documentary in any way, but feel free to use this.
It's not going to be distributed in a standard way. It's meant, the version that you're going to see is the public release version, is not the public release version. There's not going to be a public release version. It's not meant for general audiences. It's meant for a very specific audience. But if you want me to go into a little bit of brief detail about what it's about, it's very WA specific. So if you're,
it's up to you. Go for
our
it.
international audience will hate this.
I guess, okay, if it's very WA specific, maybe go into it in a vague way that maybe could be relatable for people.
No, I can explain what it is enough for that it to be reasonable.
Yeah, go on then.
So basically, sorry, I just got a notification it had Sgt. Pepper's album on it. Sorry. So my documentary is an analysis of the West Australian schooling system, specifying in the ATAR exam, which is the final ATAR exam, final exam that students take in high school before entering into university. It's the main way for students in Western Australia and Australia at large to get into university. It's the main entrance path, my documentary focuses on individuals with specific learning disorders, these being, dyslexia, dysgraphia, ADHD, dyscalculia, all of those kind of things, and how they are treated in the exams and whether or not they're being catered for correctly. And I will not... Well, the conclusion is kind of evident because I'm passionate about it and I want everyone to see it, and I have dyslexia and dysgraphia and ADHD, so it's probably... You could probably infer it's not good, and I'm not going to go into any more detail because
I think that sounds great. I'd love to watch that.
Big swings.
I'd watch that.
Big swings. Is Connor coming to the screening?
I think
isn't it quite limited? Because I know at first Nicole couldn't come to it, but
well, it's limited for Liberatus, not for admission, because I have so many seats and not many people. My crew is 3, so.
Oh well, I'm sure you can invite Connor, and if Connor's keen, then he can.
Gang.
So, yeah.
Always there to support some.
I've got to wait for
friends.
my family to confirm. I just sent it to my family, so once I have numbers on how many my family are,
man.
and then the one crew member that I'm nicking from Liberatus to help them out, whether it be Lucas or Chloe, and then I'll know what on top of that what I have. So
yeah,
you'll get word soon, but yeah.
Well, there we go. Cool, that's awesome. I'm really excited to see it. So,
yeah, me too.
So that's great.
Yeah, it's it killed me almost. Had a few mental breakdowns. It's so personal, and
great,
yeah, I'm very proud of it.
That's really
very
great.
Proud of it.
Well done, man.
Keen man. All right, what are our scores for the episode, guys? Xavier, you're the guest. Take it away.
Well, okay, so, look, Richard Curtis's work is amazing, and what he's done for this episode is, like, it's like, you know, it's for me, it's like Neil Gaiman being on the show. It is Neil Gaiman being on the show. Neil Gaiman's great, like, yeah. So it's just like it's great to have him. His work is incredible, but you know it is held back by the chicken narrative being pretty chicken shit, as it were. So I'm going to score it, bringing everything into account, an 8.95.
Wow.
Oh my god, that's so specific. So,
Wow. Okay.
Look, I really want to come on a shit episode and like kill the moon and just say pie.
Kill the moon.
well, Series 6 is full of a lot of, in my opinion, quite a few duds. Well, you know, maybe it'll change on rewatch.
Yeah, I reckon it might for me.
So
Yeah.
maybe you can come on a bit more of a duddy episode of Series 6.
Yeah. I've always wanted to answer pie to a question of 1 to 10. I've never been able to do that yet.
Come on, man. That'd be great.
Or either or.
Yeah.
It works.
Yeah.
Connor, what is your score for Vincent and the Doctor?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything that Xavier said. And again, I try and talk about mental health on here and on my podcast. And back when I was a vlogger, I would try and talk about it as much as I can. It's a thing that affects me all day, every day. So I like to talk about it and make it more normalized. So if my favorite show can do that, then it's earned a lot of respect from me. And I think everything about this episode is everything that I want to see in Doctor Who. So I'm going to give it a 9. I've really liked it. I think it's really great. I'm not saying much about it because you pretty much said exactly how I feel, Xavier, and I'm sure Aiden, you'll add to that as well. But yeah, I think it was really great.
I totally agree. I think it took some bold moves, some bold swings in the way it tackled mental health. Definitely didn't sugarcoat any of it.
Recognition is important.
Yeah.
Totally. And for a family show, for that stuff to get implemented into a young audience through Who from such a young age, I think is a really great thing. I think Murray is on fire. I know we had a bit of a chat about it, but he's the sort of special score that he does for Vincent and the Doctor is great. The visuals of that scene where they're lying down is great. I think this is possibly the best directed episode of the show so far. I know there's a lot of good stuff out there already. But just, I don't know how recently you watched it, Xav, from like after studying and things. I'm not saying studying obviously doesn't make you any more superior in how you notice these things. But after like 2 years of intensive looking at that shit, it can make things point out a little bit. And I definitely look at it slightly different to when I did beforehand.
I totally do. I know that I'm not liking a piece of media when I start to enter that mindset.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And because that means I ADHD thing, I get bored really quickly. Like whenever I'm doing something, I have to have something else going on in order to concentrate.
Yeah.
So I like washing the dishes, I listen to music.
That's the most
watching a TV show,
thing.
I play Minecraft. That's how I watch shows.
That's
because I need
thing.
to do something else.
Yeah, I've got ADHD as well, and that's the most fucking relatable thing ever. But also, another thing you just said then, I said it to
like
Aiden
I was
the other
watching the
day.
show I'm currently doing that all of today while I was cleaning the garage, whatever. I was watching Warrior, like the show that I really dig and I really love, but I can't concentrate.
Yeah.
Just for the hell of it.
I said to Aiden the other day, because we were talking about Rachel's Lalo video, and I said, you know, the idea of the filmmaker's job, like you just said then, is to make you not notice those things that are just so little, and you're not supposed to notice them, and that, so it doesn't take you out. Like you said, I agree. When I notice things, it takes me out, and it means I'm not enjoying it. So yeah, I totally agree.
Totally. It's great, but this episode also had like kind of the opposite of that, where there's things that are so well done that you notice things like that cut at the start. There was another cut later on. Oh no, it was towards the end, at the start. Sorry, when the Doctor's like, "We're gonna go to Vincent van Gogh or something," and then it was just a simple shot, pans to the sign in the museum of like the Vincent van Gogh Expo, and it was his eyes. Just like them simple moments of direction were just pushing this episode above and beyond what a normal episode of Who does for me.
There's an amazing moment in my favorite show of all time, The OA, Casey also loves it. For reference, it's on Netflix. I highly recommend everyone watch it. It's this mind-bending, boggling sci-fi thing. I can't describe it. You have to go in blind because that's the best way to do it. It just goes crazy in the best way, and it gets quite dark. So warning there, but it's just the most mind-boggling, intense thing. But there's a moment at the end of the second season, which supposedly is the final season, but it shouldn't be. They planned for 5, and Zal and Britt, who are the key creatives behind it, have been very... and we all want it to come back. Anyway, at the end of the second... Not the end of the second season. But anyway, this event occurs, and it's kind of a fourth wall break, but not really. And it's just like, it takes you out of the show. But in taking you out of the show, you're just like, oh my God, this is amazing. Because you realize what they've done and how they've managed to pull this off.
That's sick. Yeah, those kind of moments are great. Yeah, this episode just had so many fuck me that this is great moments in it. We've all said the Crephaeus was the weak link, but I just think the strong stuff was so good that you almost don't notice it until you're kind of sat back at the end of the episode and you're kind of like, oh, the Crephaeus, that was a bit silly, Whilst you're in the episode, I think you get kind of swept away with how good everything else is. At least that's how I felt with it. So I'm not going to penalize it too bad. I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10. I really enjoyed this one.
That's high.
Wow.
Very high for me. I'm a bit more critical than Connor can be at times. Well, not overall critical, but I'm harsher with the scoring, I think.
Fucking scoring so high. It's so fucking great this season. I love it. I love it so much.
Good season, man. Good season. Yeah. We got.
Well, we're out of my realm of I love everything that David does. So yeah. I'm a bit more critical. As I said,
I swear.
Not board certified. # not my doctor.
Oh my God.
Cool. Anyways, I think that's pretty much it. Like we said, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at 50doctor. Get involved, have a chat. Maybe you'll find yourself on this show someday. Woo. And we'll see you next week for our 1 year anniversary special. It's not going to be that special, but you get to watch it, which is great. Xavier, thanks so much for being on the show with us.
Plus, be there.
It's always a pleasure. I would like to be. I like to be this recurring guest, very special guest, as they used to say in the olden days. And yeah, it's huge. Man. It's big for me. I really enjoy it.
Our pleasure, man.
You actually, Aiden, ripping back the curtain a little bit, you sent me the text to remind me it was happening, and I was like, oh shit, I forgot to watch the episode, and I started freaking out for a bit.
That's all good, man.
That's all right. You did well. You got through it.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Connor. Good fun. Mate. I feel like there was one more thing I was going to say, but I do not recall. These nuts. That's exactly it.
Do it.
Cool. Connor, shall we sing? Xavier, do you know the words yet?
Kind of.
Hey.
You can just hum.
You can hum.
You can just hum the tune if you like.
Yeah, okay.
Alright, ready?
Let's do it.
And a 1 and a 2 and a skiddly diddly do. It's Aiden and Connor's podcast. They're doing Doctor Who reviews. Doing Doctor Who reviews.
Oh!
So it really hasn't changed.
No, it hasn't.
Nah, never.
One day we will produce a proper outro of us singing the same song.
You can use the same melody and just make it snazzier. That's my advice.
Could do.
What do you mean snazzier?
I said snazzier.
Snazzier. What's wrong with it? Why do you hate it?
You fell over.
Look, a cappella only goes so far when you're not in a band.